Welcome to the video. In this session, we are going to understand about what is mean by the hybrid cloud and what are the different benefits out of it and how hybrid cloud helps get best out of the both the world, that is the public cloud as well as the private cloud. So to start with the hybrid cloud, so when we say hybrid cloud, as the name itself suggests, it's a combination of both, that is the public as well as the private cloud offering from any cloud provider. What it gives us as a benefit, hybrid cloud hands over the decision part or to its end user and let them decide that which part of their architecture, that is the application or the data, they want to host in the public or in the private cloud. So this decision is handed over to its end user, and the end user is going to decide based on the different conditions they are facing. Now this decision to host which part in these two different offerings, that is public and the private cloud, depends on many factors. Sometimes the business or the organization has to choose, this has to take this decision based on fulfilling some regulatory or data sovereignty requirement, and sometimes they are bound to meet the fluctuating load or the fluctuating demand of their public facing application. So in order to understand this, let's take an example of a simple client and server based application. So we have a website or web application which is a public facing, and we also have a database which is highly secured in nature. Now the question is which part we can host in the public and which part we are bound to hold it into the private cloud. Obviously the database that is highly secure and they have data sovereignty kind of requirement, it cannot cross the organization boundary in, and we cannot host it inside the public cloud. So in that case, the database part we can host it into the private cloud, and the public facing website whose demand fluctuates, we can host it over the public cloud. Since we have used the public cloud to scale the computing resources, that is the website, so this has helped the user to eliminate any need of a massive capital expenditure to handle this kind of short-term spikes in the demand. Now in addition to that, the hybrid cloud has also evolved over the time and has now, since in hybrid cloud we have one part of the application architecture, let it be database or any other component residing inside the on-prem, and we have now, since this is a mix of the architecture, we have a dependency between this on-prem database and some kind of cloud component, let it be storage account or any other thing. Now in considering all the situation, the hybrid cloud has evolved and is now capable in its edge computing form to bring the computing power of the cloud to these local devices. These are nothing but IoT devices. So that is another way of saying that closer to where the data resides. Bring compute closer to where the data resides. So by moving the workload to the edge, which can be installed inside of any VM or any other device, the device obviously will have less time communicating with the cloud, and since they have a compute resource which is very near to data, this helps them reducing the latency and even be able to operate reliably in an extended offline period. So this is now a evolution in the cloud, especially in the hybrid model of the cloud computing. So in order to summarize all the benefit and in order to summarize what we have just understood about the hybrid cloud, so this help the organization to minimize its expenditure on sudden spikes or sudden fluctuation of the spikes, which otherwise would have ended up in purchasing some local resources which underutilized local resources, because these demands are spiked and these are the sudden fluctuation, they are not constant. So this has in turn this has helped organization to mitigate these sudden spikes. Now, with the help of this cloud computing, we can bring the control benefit of the private cloud computing. The flexibility we have also included the flexibility, like in case if we have to take some additional resources in the public cloud, we can do it and combine it. We have that integration point when we are talking about the hybrid cloud. It's a cost efficient since we have handed over the scale part to the public cloud, and we are only paying for what is bare minimum required in the private, added with the ease of the transition. That is, this is not a one time transition or a overwhelming transition. So some part we can leave it still with the private cloud, and once our migration is successful, then we can gradually phase wise we can move it over the time. Thank you.